Now, just while I let everyone in, I'm curious where you are in the world. So please just type into chat where you are. I'd love to see that. It's lovely sharing moments with people from all over. I'll just give everybody a few more minutes. Thank you for showing up right on time. Syracuse. I haven't been there for years. I was there in a snowstorm, which I guess isn't too surprising for Syracuse. And Melbourne, just outside of Chicago. Yep. Snowstorms in Syracuse, that's pretty expected. Sebastopol, California. We've got all sorts of places. That's great. Let's see. We will need several sheets of paper and a marker, pen, or pencil. So if you don't have that nearby, you might want to grab that. I will begin just in a minute. I'm looking forward to this. I've been preparing this for weeks. I've got Boston and Sydney. Somebody else from Sydney. I think we will get going. They silence your busy mind, and they work even if you're not the least bit artistic. My promise to you today is to share this approach, and it's a real game changer for overthinkers and for those of us who find it difficult to switch off, because it's a tool used to master emotional well-being and to recharge your spirit. Oh, hang on, got a bit too fast there. And it's a mix of breath work, emotional well-being, drawing exercises, and mindfulness techniques to quiet a busy brain. They help you release strong, uncomfortable emotions. I've got three different techniques that I think you'll really enjoy and leave you more calm and positive afterwards. And the best part, it can experience immediate relief during the session, but also ongoing benefits from repeating these. So these are skills that I'm teaching you that you can use anytime in the future. So if you're an overthinker seeking stress relief, this session is definitely designed for you. And real results for real people. Okay, these are some of the people that have been in my sessions. So what I want to share with you has the potential to really be life-changing, and it's worked wonders for my clients. Nancy Guppy lost both her parents within 12 months at the end of COVID, and she realized she could use these techniques to let go of grief in manageable chunks and not be all overwhelmed. And Carrie Harthen, a veteran with PTSD, she's had tremors in her hands, and she found that meditative drawing calmed her tremor. And she was saying, hey, this is superb. It was really helpful for her, which was wonderful to see. And it's been really helpful for these people. And Dulcie Lupton, who said, I found it very relaxing. It's like a little mindfulness exercises. And Helen McGuire discovered that she could use drawing exercises to help at the end of the day. She was restless and found it was difficult to get to sleep. And she found the exercises helpful for making a change in that so that it was easier for her to fall asleep. Now, there's a real reason that I'm doing this, and these helped me move from a dark place when I was really struggling. Had some heavy things come my way, years of stress and trauma and real emotional exhaustion. I was running on empty, trying to keep everything together for my son. I left a marriage that had become unsafe. My husband had become an alcoholic, and these really helped me calm the chaos in my mind. So they really helped give me a lifeline and give me a break from stress so that I could rebuild from the inside out. These techniques are developed from a mix of personal experience and research and working with a lot of different healing practitioners who taught me skills along the way. So some trainings promise a lot but deliver a little. This isn't one of those. So these 3 simple exercises I'll show you today are techniques that everyday people are using to slash stress, and strange but powerful techniques called brain shift drawing. So real simple things you can do with very simple materials that you can use over and over again. I'd really like to help other people move out of stress faster than I did. So would you be open to exploring this new way if I could demonstrate how effective it is? I'd really like to share that with you. This works even if you're overwhelmed with stress daily. It really works even if art's never been your thing, because it's not about skill. You'll see that the drawings we're doing are really very simple. They're not complex. You're not dealing with perspective or anything like that. It's using art as a process to release stress and to calm. And even if you're skeptical of art therapy, you can have a go with this and they can still work for you. So 3 simple techniques that will transform your stress into calm today. And finally, this is a method that works even when others have failed. I found there were a lot of different things I tried for stress reduction, and I wanted something that was fun and not just something that was always a chore. This works alongside any traditional therapy or medication while providing relief that you've been searching for. And it's a powerful, accessible way that helps for many people. Just going into what we're going through today, so you have an idea of what's coming up. We're going to go through the 3 simple art therapy exercises. And these really can help transform stress into calm quickly and effectively, even if you can't draw a stick figure. The silent mind method, even you might find meditation easier, even if you suffer from restlessness or monkey mind. This is a way of quieting the mind first. Release and replace techniques. Tackle deep-seated emotions without endlessly dragging up past issues or traumas. I've got a wonderfully weird and fun technique that helps you release really uncomfortable emotions. And then we follow that with a draw yourself calm practice. It's an end of day ritual that you can use to rewire your nervous system and just to be more open to joy. And then, got that last one, just showing how these techniques can unlock long-term change in the sense that you're able to, when you reuse them and reuse them, it calms your nervous system and can genuinely shift it long-term. So that makes a big difference. Okay, by the end of today's session, you'll have new tools and techniques to really be able to take more charge of your emotional well-being. And at the end of this, I'm going to share a recording. It's a recording that I give to my private clients, and it's called Nervous System Reset. It's a meditation that has yoga nidra in it, a grounding exercise, a sound meditation, and some breath work. So they're, again, unique, practical exercises that you can use daily. This is free for everyone who comes, and yeah, I'm happy to give that away. I'll give you a link to that at the end. And I'm doing that because I want to help you and I want you to stay to the end so that you can see that. Okay, who's this good for? I'm delivering this for 3 types of people. Those feeling stressed or overwhelmed. It's ideal for people who are overthinkers, looking for lasting relief. And then people who wish to retake control over their own well-being. These are skills that you can use and reuse, and these are skills that I genuinely use regularly, particularly the first one, because I find in busy days I need to regulate myself. So if I'm getting stressed or overwhelmed, I need to let that go so I can keep going. Now, why now? Why is meditative drawing so important right now? There's a lot of, we're going a little too fast here. It's important right now because our world can feel, well, quite chaotic and more uncertain than ever. There's an awful lot of things going on in the world. Yeah, global turmoil, news, economic pressures, flood of anxiety. Yeah, it's not just stress anymore. It's the constant noise, social media, polarizing opinions. Yeah, so much conflict, and it's exhausting. There doesn't seem to be an off switch now since we've got mobile phones and internet and email, and we're always getting notifications. It can be really quite overwhelming. Now, unchecked stress really can make a difference in your body. It can interrupt your sleep, your productivity, your focus. It can mess with your digestion. It puts pressure on relationships because we're stressed out, we're being rather fractious, or we're not hearing people. And without intervention, it really can affect you. Now, top brands really are realizing that's affecting workers, and we're going a little too fast here. So major companies like Google and Nike are investing heavily in meditation and well-being programs to protect their teams from burnout. And in fact, 61% of employers now offer on-site yoga or meditation classes, which actually I'm quite surprised. That's a really high number. I suppose that's probably bigger companies. And that's up from just 22% in 2022. So just, yeah, triple in a few years. Stress really is a major issue for many places. And many of them are choosing mindfulness and creative practices. And why? Because they work. When there's a mix of creativity and stress relief, it makes it much more engaging. It's something that you want to do rather than something you should do. So today I'm giving you access to the same kind of the powerful stress transformation activities in a way that's simple, accessible, and even fun. So it's something that you can use. A little background on me, so you know who I am and why this is important to me. I'm an internationally published author of 3 books, and I've led creative workshops in the USA, Canada, and Australia for the last 25 years. And I've spoken at business conferences like Women with Altitude, doing meditative drawing exercises and stress reduction, and helping people just clear their mind so they can focus and be more productive. I've also worked with some charities like Wounded Warriors and with Arthritis New South Wales, helping kids and teenagers who are dealing with the pain of arthritis and giving them tools to have happier lives. And for me, this became really important because I was struggling with my own post-traumatic stress and insomnia. As I said, my husband had become a volatile alcoholic, and my son and I needed to move out of our own home. That was in 2006. Yeah, June 2006. And I had some hard years. Yeah, that was not an easy time. I also saw the consequences of unchecked mental illness in my husband's family. There was a lot of depression, alcoholism, and my brother-in-law committed suicide and my nephew committed suicide. So I've really seen what mental illness can do in a family when it's not managed, when people don't have the skills to handle emotions in healthy ways. And I really want to be able to change that. I needed to learn effective ways to heal and manage my well-being and to teach my son. And I'd really like to share these techniques with others through meditative drawing workshops, because I'd like other people not to struggle as long as I did. Now, why is meditative drawing the most effective tools here? And hey, you might say, this sounds interesting, but is it really going to help my stress levels? I've tried other things before, but I'm going to show you why I believe this is the most effective solution. I've done some research and I had to learn how to read research papers to understand what they were saying and how the results were presented. Because in teaching creative workshops for the last 25 years, I've seen how creative workshops can really make a mental health change to benefit people. But I was curious about the science behind it and say, hey, have people studied this and what are the results? And it was very interesting. People used to just do art because it felt good, but there are actually genuine science reasons behind it. The first is making art and just doing creative workshops can really decrease your stress levels. And just 45 minutes of art making reduced cortisol and stress levels across 37 different studies. That's a massive, massive change. And I was quite heartened. So it's not just a little bit, but 81% drop in perceived stress level, backed by 37 scientific studies. In learning to do creative work for stress reduction, it genuinely makes a lot of difference. All right, another reason, productivity. Meditation and doing these exercises genuinely increases your productivity. There can be a 120% increase in productivity among employees who practice meditation regularly. So that's more than double. The easiest way to prove this is look at the research. And Columbia University Medical Center research confirms meditation strengthens the prefrontal cortex of the brain. And even in the military, the US Armed Forces have conducted studies that demonstrate the use of meditation. And one of my students was, actually, I'll just go back to that for a minute. One of my students was a sniper for 30 years. And he said, oh, we use a breathwork exercise that's just like yours to be able to calm down and focus. So it was very interesting to see that's something that genuinely out in the field has been used in practical situations where you need to think clearly. So more people are catching on, and the number of US adults practicing meditation increased from 7.5% in 2002 to 17.3% in 2022. Yeah, there's a reason for the massive growth. It works. So meditation and mindfulness boost productivity by 120% while protecting your brain under stress. These techniques can genuinely make a difference in how you feel going through your days. Reason number 3, long-term health benefits. And I hadn't even thought of this before I looked at the research. Daisy Fancourt did some very interesting research showing that for those who engage in arts regularly, there's a 31% lower risk of early death. By engaging in the arts even twice yearly, just going to the theater a couple times or art galleries, lowers mortality by 14%, which is fascinating. And I'll show you something that surprised you. Dr. Herbert Benson, he's from Harvard, showed meditation activates genes controlling metabolism, stress, and aging. So there's a lot of healthy benefits of working with some sort of meditation. And meditation can take many forms, as I'll show you. And number 4, industry recognition. Hospitals have seen how creative activities actually make a difference. So 80% of hospital administrations now invest in art activities. They've found people need less medication. They can leave hospital earlier. They're healing faster because of engaging in creative activities, which is, yeah, fascinating. I didn't realize it was that pervasive. So when an industry that's focused solely on health adopts these practices at such a high rate, it tells you something very powerful about their effectiveness. And from the studies, drawing increases the production of what's called the happy hormones, serotonin, endorphins, dopamine, and norepinephrine, if I can say that. So the systematic reviews of the research show that the creative arts therapy significantly decrease staff burnout. So these are skills that are also used for staff, not just the patients. So systematic reviews show that creative arts therapy significantly decrease symptoms of anxiety and depression. So that's one of the ways they help staff, and give enhanced self-awareness, self-image, improved emotional regulation. And that basically means that you don't get so upset about things when they go wrong. You can manage them better. And that's certainly a healthy skill. So yeah, when 80% of hospitals use it, you know that it works. Now, where most methods may feel out of reach, for this, the kinds of things that I'm doing here, you just need a pen and paper. It's nothing fancy or complicated. We'll go through a few myths, and then we're going to get to some drawing. Now, there's a lot of people think, hey, you got to be an artist. That's not true. These are real simple techniques, and anyone can do them. I've had people who work in the print industry in their 70s who never did any drawing, and they've really enjoyed this. Some people have said, hey, I've tried everything already, and nothing's worked. And I'd just say, give this a go. See what it's like for you. There are always more possibilities for healing. And yeah, just like Carrie Arthun, the veteran with PTSD tremors, she was quite surprised to find immediate relief. Meditative drawing can succeed where others do not. A lot of times people have been raised with seeing art as a hobby, not a therapeutic tool, but there are many cultures that use art practices and rituals or as therapy. And the act of drawing activates neural pathways in the brain that helps for calm. So creativity is genuinely a scientifically backed path to healing. And it's easy to think that your stress is too severe or unique to do this sort of work. And if you're dealing with severe anxiety or PTSD, like I was, or overwhelming stress, it's easy to think that you're different or it's resistant. But the reality is your body doesn't differentiate between the sources of stress when activating fight or flight response, whether it's work pressure or family or trauma. These techniques work with the universal patterns of the nervous system, and that's why they've been proven effective. Yeah, and the more overwhelming the stress, the more effective this can be. And these are techniques that you can use to just gradually chunk away at stress and just gradually drain off stress. If you've come from a medical perspective, you can be told that, hey, only medication or therapy works, but you have to release tension from the body. Trauma and stress are stored in the body, and medication and therapy don't necessarily release that. So this is something that works alongside that. I'd never say abandon any traditional care. What I'm doing here complements that. It doesn't replace anything else. It makes it more effective because you're accelerating the progress. Yeah, creative techniques really amplify. They don't replace traditional stress management methods. It's something that you can do in parallel. Okay, myth 6, I'm afraid to face my negative emotions. A lot of people don't want to go into therapy because of this. This isn't about going into stories. It isn't about diving into past histories. It's very contained, doing things in short releases, and showing you the second exercise is a way of releasing pent-up emotions from the body without reliving old trauma. And it's weird and rather fun. So you're not diving into the depths of old emotions. Drawing can offer a safe space to release emotions without overwhelming yourself, and that's really precious. And yeah, certainly with PTSD and really major burnout, people can say, hey, real change takes years. And sure, in some ways that's true, but you can make change bit by bit, and that can begin immediately, which is wonderful. You can sense that. Many participants can report significant shifts within the first few weeks. And the reality is these practices work because they're natural, they're accessible, not because they require special talents or massive time commitments or dramatic life changes. So real change can happen quickly. All right. Introduction to 3 secrets. Now, we understand why these techniques are so powerful. We've addressed the common myths that hold people back. And I want to share 3 game-changing secrets that most people don't know about transforming stress into creativity and calm. Each of these secrets build on the next, creating a complete approach that makes stress management both accessible and sustainable. Okay, secret number 1, how to instantly access a clear, calm mind. Oh, this is just going a little too fast. Yeah, okay. Now, this one step before you begin meditation has the potential to completely transform your entire experience. It actually makes meditation and mindfulness accessible to the majority of people, because so often, yeah, it can be quite a dramatic change to enhance your meditation or mindfulness practice. But now I'm just going to have a glass of water for a minute. All right. Now, traditional meditation, it can be difficult to start and it can be more difficult to stick with. And the big problem is just calming the mind. You can experience what's commonly known as monkey mind, charging thoughts and trying to quiet them down and having that just not working and finding the whole thing rather frustrating. Instead of thoughts disappearing, just feeling like you're sitting there with your brain racing and feeling rather restless. This can make it very frustrating and make people think that they can't do meditation. And a lot of people having a sense of, am I doing this right? How does this work for other people? Not getting the big tangible benefits from meditation. So at the end of the day, it doesn't work for them and it's not satisfying and they stop. What I'm suggesting is that my first exercise, which is a variation of square breathing with drawing, is taking this one step before you begin meditation that transforms the whole practice and just makes it a lot easier. So this first art therapy exercise shifts your mental state from chaos to calm, and it's just that missing link that's precious. So I find it essential to shift your mental emotional state from chaos to calm before trying to meditate. And this transformation prepares your body and your mind for the benefits of stress relief techniques such as meditation. And essentially what we're doing is we're changing our state, our physical state, before the practice begins and calming the body so that you can then do different stress relief techniques and feel like they work. State change is the key to unlocking deeper calm, and it's the foundation or the cornerstone of meditative drawing. It's something that we do at the beginning of the live sessions. And each meditative drawing session starts with intentionally and actively changing your state. We do what's called breathwork techniques, but we pair it with some drawing. And yeah, you might know the breathwork techniques, but the drawing is a new thing. And the one thing I love about breath work is it can't not work. It's a physical process. So when you change the pattern of your breath, it calms the body and activates the parasympathetic nervous system. So this state change can make meditation work. And yeah, I use this first exercise that we do all the time. And just comparing traditional meditation with meditative drawing, there's a lot of benefits from meditative drawing. It's a lot easier. And I'll show you how fast calm can happen. And yeah, under 5 minutes, you don't need to believe it, but we can do the exercise together. I'll show you how fast this sense of state change can be and how it is a physical process. Less than 5 minutes, and this will be our first art therapy exercise. Now, just before we begin, it's always good to check in and see how you feel. And because when you notice what's going on for you, then you can notice what you need and where you're beginning from. And so rate the busyness of your mind on a scale of 1 to 10. Most of you may have a marker or a couple markers or pen or pencil and several sheets of paper. So we're going to start the art therapy exercises.
We will draw rows of 5 squares, and just as we do the breathing in, holding, breathing out, and holding, I'll just draw a series of squares. I find the drawing really useful because it gives me something to do with my hands and something to focus on, and it helps me not think about the 17 other things that are going through my head. So that's up to you. If you find it distracting, then you can just do the breathing by itself. That's up to you. Okay, all right. So breathing in, hold 2, 3, 4. Breathing out, and hold 2, 3. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Breathing out, 2, 3, 4, and hold. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Breathing out, 2, 3, 4, and hold. And if you can, breathe through your nose if that's comfortable. It helps lower anxiety and it's good for your body in all sorts of ways. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, and hold. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold. Breathe out and hold. Okay, we'll do more rows. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, hold. Breathe out and hold. Breathing in, 3, 4, hold. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, and hold. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, and hold. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold. And breathe out, 2, 3, 4, and hold. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, and hold.
Going to stop sharing for a minute. Yeah, I'm just curious how that went for you and how the brain feels, how busy after that. Just put that in chat and if you saw a change. 'Cause I use that almost every day to just quiet the brain and to slow my thoughts down. It's one of the most usable techniques to quiet the brain, increase productivity. And I find if I do that a couple times during the day, it really drastically changes my productivity and my sense of how overwhelmed I feel or don't feel at the end of the day. Okay, good. Thank you. So you feel more centered. Yeah. Yeah. And with the drawing, I pair it with the drawing because it helps give my brain something to do. So it doesn't sort of go off in all these different directions. I can stay with the breathing. But sometimes I'll just, if I'm in a car and I'm in traffic or something, I'll just do the breathwork exercise without the drawing. So yeah, just gave your mind something to focus on. I agree. Yep. All right. I will go back to my slides here. Yep. Okay. So how does your mind feel now? And you've just told me. Thank you. Yeah, so I find it a really useful way to slow down that tornado of thoughts. So that's all about state change and how you can really slow the brain down, quiet your nervous system, and genuinely make a change in calming your nervous system. So that's the first secret. Yeah, and that just makes your mind more open, makes your body more calm, and just makes your nervous system more ready to heal. So it's a way of calming the mind, and breathwork activates the parasympathetic nervous system, and that slows your heart rate, lowers your blood pressure, slows your breathing, and lowers the levels of stress hormones, both adrenaline and cortisol. So some really useful, really important things. And it calms, again, we're just going a bit too fast there. And that calming is a part of meditative drawing. And that's why it makes it accessible for people who've never done anything like this. And meditative drawing combines both the techniques of breathwork and meditation and the wisdom of mindfulness with an enjoyable creative process so that it's something new, but it's also fun rather than making stress reduction a challenge. And it doesn't have to be. I really enjoy the live sessions that I have with students because we're all cheering each other on and learning new skills and having a really lovely time hanging out together. Okay, the second one is for tackling really heavy emotions. I'm going to stay with that for a minute. The second thing I'd like to share is, yeah, why stress relief, a lot of techniques don't work and are only temporary. And I think that for many people, it just changes how you think about emotional well-being. Most techniques are only temporary. They don't address the root causes of stress. And yeah, understanding this can change your view on well-being. And hey, after a stressful day, do you find it hard to switch off? Racing thoughts, that underlying tension that's just still there. And here's what most people don't realize. The stress we feel is a bit like the tip of an iceberg. The tension, the racing thoughts, the overwhelm, that's the tip. While beneath the surface lies a reservoir of all the old trauma, old experiences, old emotions that haven't been dealt with, that continually feed that stress response. And all those old tensions can be held in the body. Beneath the surface lies all those old experiences, and you need to release some of those gradually to really reduce your sense of day-to-day stress. And a lot of stress relief techniques only focus on positivity, just, hey, think happy thoughts. But that's only part of what you need to do. So somehow we need to acknowledge and release that reservoir of old tension. And that's the key to stress release. If we only focus on positive thinking, it's like putting a fresh coat of paint on an old crumbling wall. It's superficial. And we know that there are deep issues behind stress. On the other hand, when we only focus on processing the negative, it can be like continuously digging up the foundation of a house without ever building anything new. People can get stuck dwelling in the past and re-traumatizing themselves. And this is the problem with a lot of stress reduction techniques. They either ignore the underlying issues or get stuck in them. So real healing happens when you process both the darkness, but you also grow the light. So you're doing both. And that's when the breakthrough comes. So you're not choosing between one or the other. You're doing both simultaneously. So the missing link is really working on them, on both together. Okay, the release and replace principle. We're coming up to our second exercise. And this one's I really enjoy. It's a game changer for how we approach emotional well-being. And this balanced approach addresses both the light and the dark aspects of mental health. That is, observing what's going on for yourself, acknowledging the bad stuff, but not delving into the stories of trauma, and learning to shift the focus towards positive well-being. So it's meditative drawing is both. So the next section, the next art therapy exercise, I call chaos drawing. And we've got two more to explore. They're quick, powerful exercise. And the first one will give you a real insight into what I mean about releasing the dark. It's called chaos drawing, and it helps you release strong, uncomfortable emotions. I find I can work with anger or depression or frustration or fear or any of those really uncomfortable emotions. And at the end of the exercise, I feel more energized. So again, just grab a pen, marker, or pencil, and some paper. Now, this may seem a little silly, it is, but it also is a really lovely way of releasing intense emotions. In this drawing process, we're releasing a strong, uncomfortable emotion. Now, you don't have to feel that emotion right now, but I want you to tune in to whatever emotion you choose and just go with thinking about that just for a few minutes. So it could be anger, could be resentment, could be grief, depression, anxiety, fear, whatever it might be that's uncomfortable. And we're just going to take a chunk of that emotion and release it on the page. And we're taking it from being inside our head to externalizing that and making marks on a piece of paper that express that emotion. Okay? Now, in a workshop, we spend longer on this and sort of go into it, and you can use music and all sorts of other things. But right now, we're just going to take a few minutes so you can see what this is like. And you need to make some noise because that's part of involving your body and not just your mind. So we're going to growl or grumble or bark or just some kinds of noises. If you were alone in a house, you might swear your head off or yell at whatever you're angry at. But right now, I'm just going to growl and grumble. So give yourself permission to be a bit ridiculous, have a bit of fun with it, and just take a few minutes to release whatever that strong emotion is. Okay? So I'll show you first, and then you can do it. Okay. So I've filled up my whole page with marks. I want you to have a go and do the same. Okay? So have a bit of fun with it and dive into whatever strong emotion you're choosing. And make some noise. You can put yourself on mute. So. Okay, so just fill your whole page, have a bit of fun with it. And then just pause and come back to yourself and notice what's going on in your body.
I find that I go from whatever that emotion is, being sort of locked up in my body, to actually feeling energized and much more alive. And I feel like the blood's coursing through my body, and I feel the oxygen moving through me, and just feel much more alive in a really good way.
So that's the weird and wonderful chaos drawing. I've just found it really useful as a technique, a fun way of diving into an emotion, but not into the story. So releasing that sense of tension or buildup or discomfort that comes with rage or frustration or overwhelming grief. This is what Nancy Guppy used to release the grief when she'd lost both her parents, of being able to just dive into it. But because there's a part of it that's a bit silly or ridiculous, you're not getting lost in the story of what you're dealing with. And this second exercise, drawing calm, is the way to bring yourself back to the present and to be able to go pull yourself back together and to come back to the present. Okay, so this one, our third exercise, is called drawing calm. And I'll share some key points on stress relief as well.
Art therapy exercises for stress relief. This one is about drawing calm. So what would calm look like? To me, that's very flowing lines, nothing jagged. I would think if we're talking about stress, then stress might look like that, or anger might look like that, but we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about calm. So we want to slow down and want to do some very slow, loopy lines. So we're drawing calm, very slow, loopy lines. I'm going to fill just 1 or 2 sheets of paper. Very slow lines. See if you can just fill a whole sheet of paper. And again, focus on what you're doing and see if you can make very even lines, curves that are nice and smooth. And you can do loops, curves, and you can hum at the same time. Humming actually calms the nervous system. It's quite interesting. So you can hum, just draw very slowly. See if you can control your hand and do nice, even curves. And this again calms the nervous system, forces you to slow down, but gives your brain something to do. So instead of thinking, you're doing. Just fill the whole page. Take a few minutes here. I'm just going to fill the whole page. Allow yourself to be a little bit bored, maybe. That's okay. Just stay with this color on the page. There you go. Okay. And I hope you feel just a little bit calmer by forcing yourself to slow down. Very good.
Very physical, aggressive sort of drawing. And this is using it to slow yourself down and trying to just force yourself to mellow out a bit.
This one is about...
Okay. All right. So we've done my unique version of square breathing to quiet the mind. We've done chaos drawing to release the negative emotions in chunks, and then just drawing to center yourself. So those are the 3 different exercises that are part of meditative drawing. And there's many others as well, but these are 3 key exercises that are really useful. So I'm just curious how you feel now, how your brain feels. So yeah, just what's your energy level, what's your emotions. But yeah, so what's the busyness of your brain now? And you can just put a number in chat. I'm just curious what the change has been for you. All right, I'll just have a look. Okay, and I'm just seeing your comments. Thank you. Square words, not the story. Sure. Yep. And very relaxing. Yeah, thanks. Yep. Wow, 3. That's great. Yeah. 7 to a 3. Great. Yep. So a big change. Grounded in the chest. Yep. Thank you. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. And these really are techniques that are useful. These are just a taste of them in short doses. They really are useful techniques. Just recapping, that I want you to take away from what you've just experienced is these drawing exercises, how these two work together to create lasting change. And this isn't just about temporary relief, but it's about addressing both sides of the emotional equation, both the dark and the light, in a way that feels natural and effortless and, hey, a bit silly, which is, it's nice to have a bit of silly in mental health rather than everything being deep and meaningful. And what makes meditative drawing unique is that it automatically gives us this balanced approach. I'll just move back to that beginning bit. Here we go. That the chaos drawing releases the trapped emotions without retelling the story. And barking and growling, it's a lovely way of letting go of big, ugly, scary emotions without having to go into the story. And my sons come home from work on a bad day and say, Mom, where's that video? I want to do that drawing thing. And I'll just email him the link. He'll go off in his bedroom with a couple markers and come back 20 minutes later and go, okay, I can talk to you now. And I think it's brilliant to be able to take charge of your well-being like that and be able to feel better afterwards. So the chaos releases the old stored emotions, and then drawing calm create new neural pathways through neuroplasticity to gradually train your brain from being in crisis to being calmer. Yeah, and then the secret number 3 is really how to rewire your brain. Whoop, slow down. How to rewire your brain for positive change. And that's basically about repeating these skills week by week, because in doing that, instead of being in crisis all the time, we start rewiring our brain for calm. And the more we do these sorts of exercises, the more our brain knows how to do that. It's a bit like going to the gym, really, where your brain goes, oh, okay, yes, calming down. I know what you mean now. And it becomes easier by practicing it. And it's an incredible change where gradually doing these on a regular basis literally changes the physiology of your brain, which is fascinating, to rewire your neural pathways. So understanding brain plasticity, and this is something that's been discovered in the last, I'd say, about 25 years, because historically we thought that the brain was fixed from birth, and if you had a car accident with brain damage, that was it. Your brain was damaged forever, you lost function. However, in the last 20, 25 years, we've seen that's not the case, that you can actually recover from injuries, and that there's been a whole bunch of studies that shows how the brain can change and adapt. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change, which is a really precious, so we can actively rewire our neural pathways. That's something we have charge of. This is something that medication can't do for you, but you can absolutely do for yourself. So the meditation and mindfulness can help you do this, just as these techniques. And I'm just going to show you some studies that have been done on the brain of people who meditate regularly. Yep, we're just going a little too fast here. Yeah. So practices like meditation, meditative drawing can really accelerate this process. And regular practice can lead to noticeable change. And there were some people at University of Wisconsin in Madison, and they brought over some Buddhist monks. This is one of the monks, and he had meditated regularly over several years and showed that this meditation practice had actually structurally altered the brain through neuroplasticity, which is fascinating. And this is the monk. They checked him 4 times over 14 years, starting when he was 27. and realized that he was less reactive to emotional disturbance, so he didn't get upset so often, had a better ability to concentrate. And this change was actually visible in scanning his brain, which is amazing. And in essence, meditation rewired these people's brains to better handle stress and to improve their focus, to become calmer and more grounded. And the changes weren't just temporary, they were long-term. So doing practices like what you have just done today genuinely can help long-term and just make life easier because you're not being knocked around so much by things that are going on around you. So these small, simple practices like what we just done can actually rewire your brain over time, which I found very powerful. And when you stick with these practices, incredible changes happen. Your neural pathways are gradually rewired for calm, and life just becomes easier to manage. And when I'm working with participants, we find that the small regular changes do have exponential effects. And they tell me, hey, I can concentrate better. It's not as difficult. I have more clarity, less racing thoughts, and just making you less reactive, less likely to dwell on stuff. And these things don't take a lot of work. Something as simple as meditating or guided mindfulness a couple times a week can make a big difference to how you feel in the world. And these are comments from some of the participants in my pilot workshop. And yeah, it gives that stability so you can think clearly. I got less anxious, sleeping better. Yeah, you've developed a craft here that's really helpful to those with PTSD. So yeah, the chaos drawing can release old stress and trauma. And yeah, I just find that a really precious way of dealing with the really tough emotions. And using breath work and drawing before you begin can really calm the nervous system and activate the body's relaxation response. So it's, yeah, that's why meditative drawing is easier to start and much easier to stick with. So we're rewiring the nervous system for calm with the drawing calm. And then by repeating these, you're building skills for sort of a natural emotional instead of medication or therapy. So the breath work plus the drawing makes it a much more powerful combination because you're shifting what you've been carrying. Release and replace. Release and replace is what we were doing, particularly in the chaos drawing, the combination of that with drawing calm. And yeah, we discovered stress is like an iceberg. What we feel on the surface, just the tip, with the deeper stored emotions underneath. And most approaches either ignore these emotions or get stuck in the processing of them. But here's the game changer. Through the chaos drawing and then following that with calm drawing, we can really address both simultaneously. The chaos drawing releases those really tough stored emotion without getting trapped in the stories, while the drawing calm creates new pathways for mental peace. And that's why meditative drawing works so well. It flows between the release and replace, creating lasting change. And that, yeah, and that doing these sorts of exercises physically rewires your neural pathways, like we saw with the monk. The big point here is that meditative drawing, it's easy, as you've seen, you've had a go. I'm guessing that you've been able to do it just fine. What if you could feel this calm anytime you needed it? Because that's what these techniques are really about. Now, there's two paths from here, and I'm going to have a bit of water. You can certainly keep going on your own. Self-help books. Here we go. Therapy, self-help books, and meditation apps. Or you can join a group and do this together. And the meditative drawing is a guided journey that works, combines drawing and medication for real results. And as you've seen, you don't need to be an artist at all. You don't need to sit for hours. It's fun, a little bit weird. And that combines everything that you've just experienced into a complete system that actually works, even for people who've never been able to meditate or draw before. So with your permission, I'd love to show you a better way of how you can deal with stress. So what if you could master these techniques? and transform your relationship with stress permanently. I'd love to share how you can master these techniques and transform your relationship with stress. So I hope that's okay. Okay, I'd just like to talk about the workshop that I'm offering. It's called the Meditative Drawing Program, and it's a 30-day program. So that's 4 weeks. And yeah, particularly for people who are overthinkers, who've got anxious minds, or anyone who just wants some real practical techniques to take control of stress. And it isn't just another meditation program, as if you've seen, it's weird and creative and wonderful. It's a complete system that really harnesses those same powerful techniques that you just experienced and expanded into a comprehensive program that helps you rewire your own nervous system for lasting calm. And if you've never drawn before, that's okay, because you can see that what you did today was not the fancy drawing of an art school at all. That's not what we're doing here. All right. So Meditative Drawing Program is a 30-day journey to lasting calm and simple techniques that anyone can master just as you have today. And by being in a group, it helps you really rewire your nervous system for long-term calm and helps make a long-term difference rather than something that you just do once. And there's a lovely energy in the groups when we get together. Now, there's a process that you go through with this. At the beginning, you're just acknowledging where you're starting and creating your personal stress baseline, knowing what that is, and learning foundational techniques that start rewiring your system. And the first session called Mugs and Marks, drawing on marks on mugs, simple drawing exercises that calms racing thoughts. There's just different steps in this. So week 2, we're going into awareness. We deepen your practice with circles and a grid, another powerful exercise that helps calm the brain. And week 3 is empowerment, where you're starting to get a hang of the techniques and going, oh, I can actually use them when I need them. And this is something that I can use to make a difference in my life. I had one participant say, I was driving to a family gathering and I was getting all stressed out when I was driving. And she said, I started doing the square breathing exercise while I was driving. And by the time she got to her family gathering, she was like, okay, I can deal with this. I'm all right now. And I was just really glad to see her being able to use the practical exercises in a way that fits into your life. And then mastery is where you start being able to calm yourself down regularly, and you can start seeing the change and start having a sense of control. And these are the different elements in the course. I'm just going to go through the different elements that make up the course so you have a sense of what's on offer. We start with a personal wellness call, and this is a one-on-one session with me, just so I can find out what your issues are, and then I can tell you the elements of the course that are going to be the most valuable. Then we've got the 4 live weekly meditative drawing sessions. That's where everyone gets together internationally and we draw together. And these are just lovely. It's where the magic happens, where theory becomes physical change in your nervous system. Everybody cheers each other on. And there's comprehensive portal access. All the elements of the workshops are there. There's live sessions. There's also pre-recorded ones that you can watch any time of day, and different guided exercises and resources to support your daily practice. So this ensures that you're never left wondering, what do I do next? What do I do next? Okay, each of the drawing session comes with comprehensive worksheets. And yeah, you can't do it wrong. If you've never drawn before, it's okay. Whoops, I'm going back to that one. It gives you some inspiration and some examples and instructions. So you're not sitting there looking at a blank page wondering what to do. You just get led through it. And I've even had professional artists come and said, hey, it's just fun and different inspiration. There's also a breathwork library, things like diaphragmatic breathing, and explaining these techniques to help you learn about the mechanics of breathwork so that they can work really well for you. And what's called grounding exercises, which are little 5-minute exercises that when I started doing these twice a day, I just found I felt so much less overwhelmed at the end of the day, so much less exhausted. because those just little exercises that they seem deceptively simple really help me just come back to the present and allow me to be productive for so much longer. I've got a library of a whole bunch of books. So if you want to look at the research on trauma and recovery, there's a whole bunch of books that you can go to, but there's also a whole bunch of novels and memoirs. So sometimes you want to read something that's entertaining, that's just a good read, but you'd like to learn a bit more as well. And there's some really lovely novels that deal with recovery. Marianne Keynes writes some amazing books on serious topics that are funny, and I love her for that. There's 2 visual meditations. One of them I shot in the Australian rainforest up north. Little mini guides, little videos that you can watch to calm down. There's 6 months of continual access for all the things that are in the course. So the whole bunch of resources that are available as part of the workshop. So when you add everything up, the real value of this comes to over $3,675. And when the program launches to the public next month, it's going to be priced at $997, which is still less than 30% of the total value. These are all the elements that are part of the workshop. Yeah, so the total value is $3,675. But because you're here today participating in the webinar, you won't pay $997 or $3,765. You won't even pay half of that. For the webinar participants only, you can join the complete meditative drawing program for just $199. So that's less than the cost of a single therapy session for a complete system that really can transform your relationship with stress permanently. Now, there's limited availability just because I need to do personal attention during the live sessions. So we limit this to 25 participants, and that just ensures that everyone receives the support and guidance to succeed. And that's what I found in the pilot was a good number of people. And in our past sessions, these spots filled completely within 48 hours. The special webinar pricing of $199 is just for a short time. And then after that, the price will go up to $997. And hey, you might be wondering if this will really work for you, but I'll just share some of the comments from the recent participants. Nuala Diamantopoulos, she's a psychotherapist and an artist and came to a session and she said, hey, brilliant little workshop. And Soraya Raju had a go with the meditative drawing and was saying, hey, that's fantastic. And Helen McGuire, who was struggling with sleep at night, she said, yeah, I can do these drawings. It's wonderful. Thanks for the opportunity. And Carrie Harthen was the one dealing with PTSD. And even Barbara Clark from California, who was, she was skeptical at first. And she said, hey, I had fun with this. I realized that the drawing, it can be sloppy. It doesn't have to be perfect. And it's a great practice and I just adore it. I do quite a bit and it's very valuable. Now, if you go ahead, there's a 14-day unconditional guarantee. And I believe so strongly in the program that I'll take away the risk. And if you join us today and experience the full program for 14 days, if you don't feel like it's making a significant difference, hey, speak up and I'll let me know and I'll refund your entire investment, no questions asked. And I can offer this guarantee because I've seen the results and seen the techniques work for so many people, from veterans to busy parents, executives, creative professionals, and the science is clear. The results really speak for themselves. Okay, so there's a QR code and I'll just see, as I can put this in chat as well for you. Let's see, I'll just deal with this little tech stuff here. Yeah, there's the QR code and that you can go into the workshop. If you're ready to transform your relationship with stress, here's what to do. Just scan the QR code, to join now, and I'll put the link in chat in a minute. And it gives you immediate access to the members area, and we can schedule the creative wellness call so that we can have a chat and see what your needs are and where you're beginning. And just, yeah, you can begin your journey to lasting calm today. So just scan with your phone and you can go there now. And just so you know what the steps are, you use the QR code with your phone and fill in your details. If you enter the promo code CALM24 at checkout, that gives you the special pricing. So I do want to make sure that you get that. So it's CALM24, complete your payment, and then check your email for the instructions. And then you begin the program, which is just wonderful. Now, I also want to give you the video, the nervous system reset. This is the free recording for staying till the end. So you can also scan that and see the recording. I will actually email this to you afterwards, so don't worry about making sure you get that. So there's the QR code. Hello, Christina and Marquita and Nancy. Hello to all of you. So if anybody's got any questions, you're welcome to speak up. Go from there. Okay, so if anybody's got any questions, that's US dollars. That's US dollars. Yep. And you're welcome to ask any other questions about the content. Actually, I'll put my email address in here as well so that you have that. So I'll check in with the people on the day of the week that it's going to be. It would be similar to this time so that it works for both Australia and the United States. And I will check that what country everyone is from and make sure that it's a time that's going to work for everybody. It will probably be a similar time to what we have here. So yeah, any other questions that I can help you with? If you want to go through those individual exercises again, you can go back and you can replay the recording so that you get to the exercises that we're doing. Thank you everyone for coming and staying around. I really appreciate that, and I'll see you again soon, I'm sure. Thank you.